You may want to wash your hands after handling dollar bills. We will tell you why.
Here are 30 interesting facts about U.S. currency.
Historical facts. The $1 bill is the oldest existing denomination of U.S. currency, originally issued in 1862. That certainly makes sense. Money had real value then. The phrase "In God We Trust" was not added to paper money until 1957. Congress ordered the phrase to appear on all paper currency in 1955. The phrase first appeared on a 2-cent coin minted in 1864 during the Civil War. The first African American to appear on U.S. currency was Booker T. Washington. His portrait graces the half-dollar coin issued in 1946 and minted until 1951. During the Civil War, coins were hoarded since they had real precious metal content. This necessitated the issuance of fractional currency, notes under a dollar. These notes were later phased out and replaced with coins. They are no longer functional currency but are a collectible item. Before the US dollar, the Continental currency was issued in order to finance the American Revolutionary War against British rule, but it quickly devalued, giving rise to the phrase, "not worth a Continental." The rapid devaluation was caused by currency overprinting by the state and continental governments, and by rampant counterfeiting by British gangs. Continental currency was basically worthless by the end of the Revolution, but may still have collectible value.
Manufacturing and material.
U.S. paper money is made from 75% cotton and 25% linen, not from wood pulp. This makes it more durable and also serves as a deterrent to counterfeiting. The ink used has some color-shifting properties to help thwart counterfeiting. This ink appears to change color when the banknote is tilted. This is a dynamic feature that is hard to replicate with static color print technology. A $1 bill has a lifespan of about 18 months, while a $100 bill can last up to 15 years. Tiny letters, microprints, are used as a security feature on U.S. currency, discernible only under a microscope. Often seen around the portrait or in the bill's design elements, these are difficult to reproduce at high quality without specialized printing equipment. Trivia and oddities. Until 1966, United States notes were issued with a red seal and could be redeemed for silver or gold. Silver certificates were a type of currency issued by the United States from 1878 to 1964. They were originally redeemable for their face value in silver dollar coins, or silver bullion. They were characterized by their distinctive blue seals. Various denominations from $10 to $1,000, along with $1, $2, and $5, were issued during different periods. Gold certificates, represented by currency with a gold seal, were issued by the U.S. from 1865 to 1933. Just like stock certificates represent ownership in a company, gold certificates represented ownership in a specified quantity of gold. After 1933, they were no longer redeemable for gold due to changes in legislation attributed to the Great Depression, but have remained legal tender. They are now rare and therefore a valuable collectible. The $2 bill is still in circulation but rarely used, accounting for less than 1% of all notes. The United States never officially issued a $3 federal bill, but $3 bills were a reality in the 1800s, just not at the federal level. These notes were issued by state-chartered banks, as well as some businesses and municipalities, during a period known as the free banking era, roughly between 1837 and 1863. During this time, banking was less regulated, and a myriad of institutions had the authority to issue their own currency, often backed by reserves of gold, silver, or other assets. They were not widely accepted due to trust issues, and they were mostly circulated in the region around the issuing bank. From 1999 to 2008, the U.S. Mint released a series of quarters honoring each state. They released 5 per year every 10 weeks in the order in which each state joined the Union or ratified the U.S. Constitution. Only uncirculated or mint condition quarters are worth more than their face value of 25 cents. Silver-proof mints from 1999 are the most valuable. U.S. law prohibits the image of a living person from appearing on currency. George Washington is known to have refused to get his face on currency while he was alive. It was the Founding Fathers' belief that it was unpatriotic to have a living person's image on circulated currency. The first $10,000 bill was printed in 1934 during the Great Depression, and featured the portrait of Salmon P. Chase. He was the Secretary of the Treasury under Lincoln. It is estimated only 336 still exist, and one uncirculated bill sold for $480,000 at auction in September 2023. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the United States Treasury minted high-value currency notes such as the $500, $1,000, and $10,000 bills. However, because these large denominations saw little use among the general public, they were eventually taken out of circulation in 1969 and ceased being printed. Mint condition notes can fetch a lot more than their face value. The U.S. Treasury also minted a $100,000 bill in 1934, the largest denomination ever, but it was only used for transactions between the Federal Reserve and other government agencies and was never circulated publicly. The Confederate States dollar, colloquially known as the grayback, was first issued just before the outbreak of the American Civil War by the newly formed Confederacy to fund their war efforts against the Union. The currency was not backed by hard assets, but simply by a promise to pay the bearer after the war, based on the prospect of a Southern victory and independence. By late 1864, a few months before the war's end, the value of one Confederate dollar had dropped steeply to the equivalent of just 3 cents in U.S. currency. Once the Confederate States surrendered in April 1865, the Confederate currency lost any remaining value, and has not been valid legal tender. Confederate currency has value to collectors. The value of these notes depends on factors such as rarity, condition, and demand. However, it is essential to note that a considerable amount of Confederate currency is counterfeit.
Financial and economic.
The U.S. Federal Reserve can essentially create money through a process called quantitative easing. Using new electronic or book entry money, the central bank buys financial assets, usually government bonds, from banks and other financial entities. The increased demand for the bonds reduces their yields, resulting in lower interest rates. The new money can now be lent out by the banks at the lower interest rates, stimulating the economy, in theory. As of 2021, there is around $2 trillion worth of U.S. currency in circulation globally. The U.S. dollar accounts for almost 60% of global foreign currency reserves, the euro 20%, the Japanese yen about 6%, the British pound sterling 5%, and the Chinese renminbi 3%. The exact numbers are always in flux. Nearly two-thirds of all $100 bills are held outside the U.S. In total, about 45% of all U.S. currency is held outside the U.S. There has been talk about discontinuing the penny due to its cost of production. It costs more, 2 pennies, to produce a penny than the coins are worth. Efforts to discontinue minting the penny have been opposed by the public, the retail industry, the 99-cent store would be very strongly opposed understandably, and the nickel industry. The $20 bill is the most counterfeited denomination in the U.S. The reason? Most people readily accept $20 bills, but would most likely take a closer look at a $50 or $100 bill because they have more to lose if it turns out to be fake. The counterfeit detector pen is known to be quite unreliable.
Cultural and social.
A popular hobby involves tracking the circulation of dollar bills through the website, where'sgeorge.com. You can only see the history of notes that were previously entered by other hobbyists. Feel free to enter information about new bills you might have. The art of folding dollar bills into intricate designs is a recognized form of origami. Some people specialize in collecting misprinted bills, which can be highly valuable. There is a big market for them in the form of currency collectors, numismatists. Carving designs into the face of a nickel, known as hobo nickels, became popular during the Great Depression. Their value can vary depending on their condition, the quality of the engraving, and market demand. Those associated with famous artists such as Bert Wiegand can exceed $1,000 and have even set auction records. U.S. currency is legal tender for all debts, public and private, but businesses can refuse bills over $20. It is usually for fear of counterfeit money. The bigger the bill, the greater the risk. And simply for a lack of change. Scientific and technological. Studies have found that U.S. currency carries traces of bacteria, drugs, and even DNA. This is why you need to wash your hands after handling money. You just don't know where the money has been. It's estimated that over 90% of U.S. bills in circulation have traces of cocaine on them. The global market for cocaine is estimated to be valued between $94 billion and $143 billion. This makes cocaine the second largest drug market after cannabis, which is valued at between $183 billion and $287 billion. You could bet that 99% of all bills have traces of cannabis. Various apps, like Cash Reader and iNote, exist that can identify bill denominations for visually impaired individuals. Counterfeit Money Detector is an app that offers detailed step-by-step instructions on how to spot fake bills. AR Money Reader Scanner G-Money. This app uses augmented reality technology to scan and verify the authenticity of money. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin pose a future challenge to the dominance of national currencies, including the US dollar. However, Bitcoin is the only true digital currency, being solely a medium for the exchange of value. All other cryptocurrencies are securities because they promise a passive return to the holder.